always the difficulty, I think, with these exercises is how do you translate commitments into real action on the ground? And so often in the past there's been a problem with that.
The British monarchy is facing yet another storm, and at the center of it all is King Charles III. From growing health concerns to deepening public skepticism, things aren't looking good for the newly crowned sovereign. With royal controversies simmering, political shifts looming, and whispers of a weakened reign echoing through the halls of Buckingham Palace, could this be the beginning of a turbulent chapter for the monarchy? Stay tuned as we uncover the challenges threatening King Charles's rule and what it could mean for the future of the crown. King Charles III's health battle,
which has announced that the king has been diagnosed with cancer.
King Charles III has long faced health concerns, but recent developments have sparked deeper public worry. Reports suggest that the king is battling a serious illness, and sources close to the royal family hint that the situation may be far more dire than officially disclosed. In a startling revelation, reports have surfaced that King Charles has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a disease known for its aggressive nature. Some sources claim doctors have given him a grim prognosis, just 2 years to live. A royal insider described the severity of his condition in heartbreaking terms. His cancer is eating him alive. He is extremely frail. The situation is desperate. Despite his deteriorating health, the king remains committed to his duties, doing his best to honor royal traditions. However, his illness has already forced him to make difficult adjustments. The 2024 Maundy Thursday service, a significant Christian ceremony, had to proceed without his physical presence. Instead, Charles appeared via video, following his doctor's orders to avoid large gatherings due to his ongoing treatment. The king, deeply saddened by his absence, shared his disappointment, saying, "I was greatly saddened not to be present." Having ruled for just 18 months, King Charles's reign could end up being one of the shortest in British history. Behind palace doors, royal officials have already set plans in motion for his eventual passing under the code name Operation Menai Bridge, a protocol similar to Operation London Bridge, which was enacted for Queen Elizabeth II. While such plans are standard for monarchs, the urgency surrounding them now feels unsettlingly real. As the king continues his battle, the nation watches with a heavy heart, preparing for what may be an inevitable farewell. While things don't seem to get any better yet, let's take a look at the life of King Charles and his journey so far to the present. A prince in the public eye. As soon as Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952, young Charles became Britain's most watched child. Every milestone, from his first steps to his first day at school, was captured by the press. The world was fascinated by the little prince, but for Charles, this attention came with a price. From an early age, he was deprived of the carefree joys that most children take for granted, dashing across a playground without a watchful eye, forming friendships without suspicion, or even making harmless mistakes without facing scrutiny. Every step he took, every word he uttered was observed, dissected, and critiqued. The immense responsibility of the crown wasn't just a distant future, it was a shadow that followed him at all times, molding him into a person of quiet restraint and dignified composure. Despite the relentless public gaze, he found refuge in nature. The vast countryside became his escape, a place where he could breathe freely, away from the rigid expectations of royal life. He developed an unshakable love for horseback riding, the serenity of the wilderness, and the delicate balance of the natural world. His appreciation for the environment was more than a mere hobby. It became a lifelong commitment. Years later, this passion would define him not just as a prince, but as a monarch with a deep sense of responsibility toward the planet. In a life dictated by duty, nature remained his one true sanctuary, offering him a sense of peace that the crown never could. However, pressures of royal life cast a long shadow over his early years, forcing him to mature quickly and adopt a sense of duty beyond his age. How was his childhood like? How did he cope with the early spotlight at the time? Let's find out. A lonely childhood. To the outside world, Charles's childhood seemed privileged and glamorous. However, behind palace walls, life was anything but easy. His parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, were often busy with royal duties, leaving Charles in the care of nannies and tutors. He longed for warmth and affection, but the royal family's tradition of emotional restraint made open displays of love rare. School was no safe haven for him either. Instead of finding friends and comfort, he was met with teasing and ridicule. Some of his classmates mocked him for his royal status, treating him as if he were different from them, while others made fun of his quiet and gentle nature. Unlike his father, who was known for his courage and athleticism, Charles was more thoughtful and sensitive, qualities that set him apart in a world that often valued strength over introspection. He felt the weight of expectations pressing down on him, struggling with the constant feeling that he could never measure up. Yet these hardships did more than just test him. They shaped him. The loneliness he endured as a child gave him a deep well of empathy, allowing him to connect with people in ways many couldn't. His struggles taught him resilience, helping him navigate the pressures of royal life. Instead of becoming bitter, he used his experiences to fuel his passion for charity, dedicating himself to causes that uplifted others. In the end, the emotional battles of his youth became his greatest lessons, preparing him for the challenges that awaited him in adulthood. During his days as a youngster, King Charles passed through a significant moment in Scotland, one that defied the norm in the royal family. Let's take a look at his experience at Gordonstoun School. The Gordonstoun Experience. At his father's insistence, Charles was sent to Gordonstoun School, a strict and physically demanding institution in Scotland. The school was notorious for its tough regime, requiring students to wake up at dawn, endure cold showers, and participate in grueling outdoor activities. For young Charles, attending Gordonstoun was nothing short of a nightmare. While his father had thrived in the school's rigorous and disciplined environment, Charles found it unbearable. The cold, strict routines and demanding physical activities made every day feel like a battle. To make matters worse, he became a target for bullying, with classmates ridiculing him rather than embracing him as one of their own. The intense discipline, far from shaping him in the way it had his father, felt more like a punishment. In later interviews, Charles openly admitted that his time at Gordonstoun was not just difficult, but at times deeply miserable. However, despite the hardships, the experience was not entirely without value. The grueling environment forced him to develop resilience, independence, and inner strength, traits that would later prove essential in his royal duties. Though he may not have enjoyed his school years, he eventually recognized that Gordonstoun had, in some ways, prepared him for the challenges of royal life. It taught him how to endure pressure, adapt to adversity, and stand firm in the face of difficulties, qualities that would shape his journey as a future king. Leaving the Gordonstoun School, he defied the norm again by proceeding straight to the university. Let's dig into the details of his defiance from the norm during his Cambridge years. Breaking tradition. The Cambridge years. Unlike the royals before him, Prince Charles made an unconventional choice. He opted for university education instead of immediately joining the military. This bold decision raised eyebrows among traditionalists who believed future kings should follow the customary path of service. However, Charles was steadfast in his desire to expand his knowledge, explore diverse subjects, and prepare himself for leadership in a way that went beyond military experience. He studied anthropology, archaeology, and history at the University of Cambridge, eventually earning a degree, becoming the first British heir apparent to graduate from university. During this time, he enjoyed a taste of normal life, mingling with fellow students, engaging in debates, and experiencing a level of freedom he had never known before. Many doubted Charles, believing that his deep interest in academics was a weakness rather than a strength. Some critics saw his scholarly nature as a distraction, arguing that leadership required decisiveness and action, not intellectual musings. However, Charles defied these assumptions, proving that knowledge and leadership are not opposing forces, but complementary ones. His university years were more than just a phase of study. They were a time of transformation. Immersing himself in history, philosophy, and the arts, he developed a nuanced perspective on governance, culture, and the environment. These formative experiences shaped the way he would later approach his role as a royal, giving him a vision that was both thoughtful and forward-looking. Rather than viewing leadership as mere duty, Charles came to see it as an opportunity to influence society in meaningful ways. His academic foundation helped him advocate for environmental conservation, promote cultural preservation, and support innovative solutions to modern governance challenges. Over time, what some once dismissed as a weakness became one of his greatest strengths. His intellectual curiosity allowed him to connect with experts, engage in meaningful debates, and introduce progressive ideas into traditional institutions. His journey demonstrated that scholarship is not a limitation but a powerful tool, one that enhances leadership and enables meaningful impact. Being the norm for the royals, King Charles eventually underwent military prodigy. Although it was delayed till his graduation, he was able to prove himself worthy during his military career. Let's take a glimpse into his military career. From heir to officer. After university, Charles embarked on a military career to prove his discipline and dedication to service. Initially training with the Royal Air Force, he surprised many with his strong work ethic and determination. He later joined the Royal Navy, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. Prince Charles's time in the Royal Navy was a defining period that showcased his resilience, discipline, and ability to lead under pressure. Taking command of the HMS Bronington, he was responsible for overseeing both his crew and critical naval missions. This role was no ceremonial appointment. It required real leadership, decision-making, and the ability to navigate challenges at sea. Under his command, the crew carried out various operations, proving that Charles was more than just a royal. He was a capable officer dedicated to his duty. Beyond his leadership at sea, Charles also pursued aviation, training as a pilot and earning recognition for his exceptional flying skills. He demonstrated precision, focus, and adaptability, qualities essential for a successful pilot. His commitment to mastering these demanding roles earned him the respect of his peers and superiors alike. For those who once questioned his toughness, his military service was the perfect response. Despite his reserved and refined public image, Charles proved he was willing to endure rigorous training, embrace discipline, and serve his country with determination. His time in the armed forces not only strengthened his character, but also provided a glimpse into the man behind the title, one who understood responsibility, perseverance, and the weight of leadership. In the end, his military career was not just a duty, but a testament to his ability to rise to challenges and defy expectations. King Charles, like every young man, was not someone without a romance story. In fact, he made headlines for decades over his romantic life. Perhaps he is living in regret over what transpired in his romantic life. But first, let's find out how he met his first wife, Princess Diana. Diana enters the picture. The world remembers the romance of Charles and Diana, but how they truly met remains a lesser-known story. Most believe their first encounter happened at a shooting party hosted by Diana's older sister, Sarah Spencer. However, Charles himself recalled a different moment, a casual meeting in a plowed field when Diana was just 16. At the time, Prince Charles was romantically involved with Sarah, while Diana was just a reserved and well-mannered teenager who barely caught his attention. To him, she was simply a sweet and innocent girl, but there was something about her that lingered in his mind. Unlike the rigid traditions that surrounded his royal life, Diana carried a refreshing energy. She was youthful, kind, and full of warmth. As destiny would have it, their lives kept intersecting, and with each encounter, Charles found himself drawn to her in ways he hadn't expected. Her sincerity, her charm, and her effortless grace made it increasingly difficult for him to overlook her presence. What began as casual interactions slowly evolved into something more significant. Eventually, their courtship blossomed into a grand royal marriage that captivated the world. To the public, Their union seemed like the perfect fairy tale, a young, beautiful princess and her royal prince. But beneath the surface, their relationship was far from the dreamy love story it appeared to be. Their marriage was marked by silent battles, hidden heartaches, and difficult choices, many of which remained unspoken for years. Now, after decades of secrecy, Charles is finally ready to shed light on the untold truths of his relationship with Diana, the sacrifices, the regrets, and the reality behind the illusion of their royal love story. The marriage between King Charles and his first wife, Princess Diana, lasted for less than 2 decades, producing Prince William and Prince Harry. What seemed to have affected the marriage? Why did it end in tragedy? Could he be in regret now? Let's find out. The tragedy of Diana and Charles. For many, the union of Princess Diana and Prince Charles was the ultimate fairy tale. A young, beautiful woman stepping into a world of glamour, power, and tradition. The public adored Diana, seeing her as a modern Cinderella. But behind the dazzling facade of royal life, a painful reality unfolded. The marriage was strained from the start, with the shadow of Camilla Parker Bowles never far behind. From the very beginning, Diana sensed that Charles's heart was never fully hers. His unwavering affection for Camilla was evident even before they exchanged vows. Despite knowing this, she clung to the hope that marriage and children would bring them closer, weaving a dream of love and unity that would soon unravel. A painful realization struck early on. Just before their wedding, Charles had a special bracelet custom-made for Camilla. It was not a mere gift. It was a symbol of an unbroken bond, a silent warning that Diana's fairy tale was not as enchanting as the world believed. As she stepped into royal life, Diana quickly became a global icon, loved for her elegance, warmth, and compassion. The world adored her. Yet behind palace walls, she felt more alone than ever. She longed for emotional intimacy, for a husband who would cherish her the way she had imagined in her youthful dreams. Instead, Charles remained distant, his heart divided between the expectations of the crown and the love he had never let go of. While Diana shined in the public eye, captivating millions with her kindness, behind closed doors, she battled an ever-deepening loneliness. The marriage that once promised happiness became a silent struggle, where love was always just out of reach, overshadowed by the lingering presence of another woman. Within a short time, the crumbling marriage became the talk of the media, with speculations and scrutiny surrounding the couple's appearance. What eventually confirmed the rumors? Let's find out. The public spectacle of a crumbling marriage. The cracks in their marriage quickly became visible to the world. Every time they stepped out in public, watchful eyes dissected their every move. A single glance, a subtle sigh, or a distant expression sparked endless speculation. Whenever Diana appeared solemn or detached at royal events, headlines exploded with theories about trouble behind closed doors. Whispers of heated arguments and emotional strain flooded tabloids, turning their private struggles into a public spectacle. The fascination with their relationship only grew as people eagerly sought clues in photographs and body language, desperate to uncover the truth behind the royal fairy tale. But the real confirmation of the affair came in the most humiliating way possible, through leaked phone conversations. Intimate calls between Charles and Camilla became front-page news, making it undeniably clear that their relationship had never ended. The British public, who had once celebrated the royal couple, now watched in shock as their marriage unraveled on the world stage. Charles eventually came clean about his affair during a televised interview, shattering the carefully polished image of royal dignity and devotion he had upheld for years.
You meet people in the crowd who say, "Are you enjoying your holiday?" And it's not like a private visit, because it's so.
However, it was Princess Diana's bold and unforgettable response that truly shook the world. In a now legendary interview, she openly declared, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded."
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
With that single piercing statement, she confirmed long-standing suspicions, exposing the cracks in their marriage. The monarchy, which had long thrived on tradition and secrecy, was suddenly thrust into one of the most shocking royal scandals in history. With the news of the affair spread like wildfire, the victim seemed to be none other than Princess Diana. How did she cope with the heartbreak? Let's dig further into the details. The heartbroken Diana. Despite enduring the deep wounds of betrayal, Diana refused to be a prisoner of her pain. Rather than letting heartbreak consume her, she transformed her struggles into a source of strength. With courage and vulnerability, she used her voice to forge a genuine connection with people, breaking the traditional silence of the royal family. She openly shared her battles with bulimia, depression, and overwhelming loneliness, topics once considered unthinkable for a princess to discuss. Her honesty shattered royal expectations, making her even more admired by the public. To millions, she was no longer just a distant royal figure, draped in elegance and protocol. She became a symbol of resilience, a woman who felt as deeply as they did. Diana's willingness to embrace her flaws and share her truth made her unforgettable, not just as a princess, but as a beacon of hope for those facing their own silent struggles. As her marriage disintegrated, Diana found solace in her humanitarian work. She visited hospitals, comforted AIDS patients at a time when the disease was heavily stigmatized, and campaigned against landmines. She hugged children suffering from poverty and illness, showing the world that royalty was not just about crowns and castles, it could also be about kindness and connection. Her compassion earned her the nickname the People's Princess. And even as the tabloids continued to exploit her personal life, Diana refused to retreat into the shadows. Instead, she stepped forward, using her voice to break taboos surrounding mental health and humanitarian crises. After all she went through, her marriage with Charles ended abruptly. Let's dig into the details of how the royal marriage ended. The end of a royal marriage. By 1992, the cracks in Charles and Diana's marriage became undeniable, leading to their official separation. 4 years later, in 1996, their divorce was finalized, marking the end of what many once believed was a fairy tale romance. But for Diana, this was not just an ending, it was a new beginning. Freed from royal constraints, she redefined herself beyond the title of princess. No longer just a queen-in-waiting, she became a symbol of resilience, strength, and compassion. With her humanitarian efforts and genuine connection to people, Diana transformed into a global icon, capturing hearts far beyond the monarchy. Sadly, her journey was cut short. In 1997, Diana's life ended tragically in a car crash in Paris. The world mourned, grieving not just for the princess she was, but for the compassionate, fearless woman she had become. Princess Diana's legacy lives on through her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who carry forward her deep commitment to humanitarian causes. But her impact goes far beyond charity work. She reshaped the British monarchy, challenging traditions and forcing it to adapt in ways it never had before. Diana's life was a powerful reminder that even within the walls of royalty, pain and struggle exist. Yet, she showed the world that heartbreak does not mean defeat. Instead, she transformed her personal challenges into a source of strength, using her voice to uplift others. Her story is more than a tale of love and betrayal. It is a narrative of resilience, self-discovery, and fearless compassion. She proved that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a force for change. Above all, Diana's unwavering connection with the people she loved continues to make her one of history's most beloved and unforgettable figures. What do you think about King Charles's current state and what the future holds? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.